Civilization is the social process whereby societies achieve an advanced stage of development and organization. Early human beings lived in the forest and ate raw flesh. With the passage of time, these hunter-gatherers began to live in caves to protect themselves from rain, heat, and cold. With the discovery of fire, they began to cook their own food, which may be regarded as the first step towards civilization. Gradually, they migrated from the forest and caves and settled by lowland rivers, which were suitable for growing crops. Villages grew into cities. The powerful amongst leaders became kings, and the strongest king conquered more than one city and created the first empire. The basic necessities or knowledge for a civilization are agriculture, population, writing, money, and trade. Ancient civilization around the world. The world has seen numerous civilizations grow in it. Around 7000 BC, the world's first town was established, presently located near the Jordan River. Egyptian civilization. The Egyptian civilization developed around 3000 BC along the lower reaches of the Nile River in the region now known as Egypt. Two separate kingdoms developed simultaneously. The kingdom in the south, Upper East, was known as the White Crown, and the one in the north, Lower Egypt, was known as the Red Crown. Around 3000 BC, both the crowns were united into a single kingdom by Menes or Normer, who declared himself the first ruler of the land, who was known as the Pharaoh. King Menes built a new capital called Memphis. The Egyptians believed that their pharaohs were gods and that they would continue to work even after their death. So, if a pharaoh died, his body was preserved through mummification, a process which included embalming of the body after removing internal organs and wrapping it in strips of linen. The mummy, along with food, gifts, and provisions for the afterlife, was placed inside a tomb which was preserved inside pyramids. The Egyptians worked for the pharaohs and obeyed him or her because they believed that she was a living god on whom the entire fabric of social life depended. The Egyptians believed that not only in the body and soul but in Ka, which is the indestructible vital principle of each person, which left the body at death, which could also return at other times. This explains why the Egyptians mummified the dead so that the Ka, on its return, would find the body not decomposed. And this also explains why the tombs were filled with wine, grain, weapons, sailing ships, and so on. Ka would find everything it needed, otherwise, it might come back to haunt the living. The river Nile has provided water and fertile soil, which made it easy for the Egyptians to turn desert patches into farmlands. Canals were dug to direct water from the river to the fields. The yearly flooding and controlled irrigation of the fertile valley produced crops which fueled social development and culture. Egyptian men and women used a lot of perfume and jewelry and wore blue and green eyeshadow and black eyeliner. Indus Valley Civilization. The Indus Valley Civilization developed around 2600 BC in the Indus River Valley located in what is now Pakistan and northeast India. This civilization developed at approximately the same time as the early cities of Egypt and Mesopotamia. Not much is known about this civilization because the Indus Valley scriptures has not been deciphered. The two twin cities Mohenjo-daro and Harappa were the most famous for their town planning and drainage system. The houses were built with baked bricks of the same size. The streets were laid out in a standardized grid pattern with rounded corners to allow carts to turn smoothly. The Great Bath located at Mohenjo-daro is the earliest public water tank known in the ancient world. It measures 180 feet north to the south and 108 feet east to west. It has maximum depth of 2.4 meters. The Harappans were very skilled artisans who made beautiful objects out of bronze, gold, silver, terracotta, and semi-precious stones. Seals were used for both internal and external trade. These seals were in various shapes and sizes and were decorated with animal motifs such as elephant, water buffalo, tigers, and most commonly unicorns. The Harappans cultivated wheat, barley, peas, and sesame and were probably the first one to grow cotton and make clothes. Greek civilization. The Greek civilization thrived between 2000 BC and 146 BC in Greece and countries that are now Bulgaria and Turkey. It was unique in its own way. It had no rivers. The areas were split into many different states, each having its own law, government, and money, but sharing a common language and religion. The two most important cities were Athens and Sparta. It was not brought under a single government until it became the part of the Roman Empire in the 2nd century BC. Great Greek philosophers and scholars such as Socrates and Plato have contributed significant to current world culture. History was convicted first in ancient Greece. Herodotus made the first attempt to record events and is known as the father of history. The Greeks believed that the god and mankind both exist to serve one another and that God was in the form of humans. Beside a common chief god Zeus, the god of sky and thunder, each city-state had a patron god or goddess. The Parthenon, a temple dedicated to Athena, located on the Acropolis in Athens, is one of the most represented symbols of Greek culture. The names of the Greek gods and many legends about them survived to become a part of Western tradition. The Chinese civilization originated along both the Yellow River and the Yangtze River valleys in the Neolithic era, but the Yellow River is said to be the cradle of Chinese civilization. The first villages were built around 5000 years ago. From around 2100 BC until around 1600 BC, China was ruled by the Xia dynasty, believed to have been Aryans. No single data marks the end of ancient China. Qin Shi Huang ruled over the Chinese state of Xin from 246 BC to 210 BC. In 221 BC, he defeated the last of the independent states, thereby creating the first Chinese empire that he ruled until his death in 210 BC. Chinese civilization is one of the most powerful civilizations and has the oldest surviving civilization in the entire world.